All right, ladies and gentlemen, what could be going on? For those of you that devote your life to justice and you've witnessed September 11th and you can remember it, um, it's a human phenomenon. So this is important if you devote yourself to justice because you're dealing with human capital. So when I got out of Rio Consumnes Correctional Center on May 5th, 2021, it's very possible that their narrative, my opposition from Monterey Trail High School, not just there, but CDI from Raymond Case and etc., that it's very possible that the narrative that they were running was that it was to keep me from drinking alcohol. And I had to go 3 years without drinking alcohol so that way I could be a Russian, right? Or a Russian View type guy, because in the channel Russian View they say that you have to go 3 years without drinking alcohol, because it's really bad. And as far as I'm concerned, guys, you can say depression, stuff like that, and so I don't care sometimes, but I don't overdo it too much. I just have like a beer or two, and and so what I'm saying is that I also like use cannabis, and so the thing is that what I'm saying is that they could have used that as an excuse or time to get my opposition closer to my female human childbearing counterpart and get them and setting up their story, right? Setting up their narrative. And so by me doing this, what you're seeing, my story, it's not a narrative, it's my point of view. It's like what it is, ladies and gentlemen, is what's going on, is that you're seeing that I'm trying to supposedly hold my view. Well, basically my side lost, because like if my opposition has it all good, he has to act like he doesn't have it all good. So he has to act like a poor person, even though he has a lot of money in his bank account and houses everywhere else, and other people with bank accounts, put it that way. And as far as I'm concerned, I can't do that. I can't do what he's doing. So I lost on that sense, in that that's what could have been happening. Like that was a potential. That was a pure potential weapon of literally mass destruction. Because what that would do, yeah, it's fooling people. So it's just being dishonest, guys. It's just like good and evil. That's evil. That's bad. Okay, so it's very possible, ladies and gentlemen, that you have to see things for what they are, not worse or better than they are. And this is the factors of the field of my environment, and not just my environment, but my perspective of it matters, because from other people's perspective, they're training people to look at me like a crazy guy, and I have to explain it to the best that I can to as youngest person that I can, to a young person. So to a person that can, in basically as simplest as possible, guys. So again, that's very possible that they were planning to do that, and in that line of fire would have been Brian Muro or whoever. That was who I saw as her like boyfriend or whatever. And that's the thing, they could have been planning to like send him and all their best men or whatever to Ukraine, and that's probably what happened, guys. But that is their, how you say, like the blast happened over there, but you don't hear it until you don't feel the impact. So right now you can consider me as one of those like buoys that is showing you the tide. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that is reality. Not worse or better than it is. that that's what could have happened, right? That happens, and then they get involved or get stuck into a death spiral, right? And the only way, yeah, the only way for them, or for her to save, for them to save themselves, is to be able to articulate it, but without harming us, they can't do that, you know? So that's what, when I say harming us, who is that, ladies and gentlemen? That's me and my stuck perspective right here. And the things that I have to do, or like, how you say, not have to do, but the things that they want me to do is to commit spiritual suicide. And I don't want to do that. So I'm willing to, you know, this is how I'm gambling, right? Not really gambling, I'm just living, but people make my life into a game. So just by living, guys, you're brave, okay? Just by being alive. That's why I say you won the, you know, when you're born, you're one of many, many sperm cells that made it into your mother's egg, supposedly, right? And not only supposedly, but you can see it through a microscope. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's another narrative that I have to counter. And so, to recap, that's it. They used that time while I was incarcerated to work their orchestration of the narratives of like all the buff people from high school, like all the rah people, all the like Samoan or Tongan people that stomp their feet. They get all that energy and funnel it into a false, like, into that false narrative of making them fall in love with each other, fall in love for the sake of peace or whatever, diplomacy or politics. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is when you weaponize war, and that is when there is no hope. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's how people enslave people, and I'm not gonna let that happen. And that's the same thing as having people commit spiritual suicide, and that's what I'm figuring out right now. So, I'm not gonna let that happen, ladies and gentlemen. So, once again, that narrative, if they run that, okay, so that explains the urban warfare situation that is going on in this incorporated city of Elk Grove, California. And yeah, so thank you for listening. Not only warfare, but lawfare. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen.